So she chucked me in a fucking maternity pad and sent me to my ballet class. Honestly, I'm obsessed with that.
Hello? Next caller. Now these toys don't run out of batteries, I've heard.
Love yourself, fuck yourself, do all the things yourself. So he's like, oh, by the way, I found this new like spot in your vagina. He's like, every time I touch you there, you just like go crazy.
I got a little bit lost in the porn world for a minute.
All the rumors are true, yeah. What you heard, that's true, yeah. I fuck him and you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
cool.
believe I
Let's
do
jump in.
that.
Welcome back to the potty, everybody. Thank you so much for all of the responses and the support on our previous episode. So thank you everyone for that. Now, it's absolutely been blowing us away.
Speaking of blowing us away,
Blowing.
yes, we've got some good juicy things, but we also want you to light your candles and get ready.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have some juicy goodness coming
Some
onto our
juicy-
episode today.
So everybody,
So
say
let's. All right. So So first of all, I am so dyslexic, and I have talked to you about this because I get your name wrong every single time. And we were talking about this because she's got a fucked up name, I have a fucked up name, and your name is hard to say too. So can you please, for the love of God, correct me?
It's pronounced Asti.
right?
Yeah, you were right. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
I've been
It's
taking
all right. I get people's names wrong all the time.
bad. It's embarrassing.
We may as well say how we say our names then too.
Yeah.
So I'm Aylin. I don't know if you want to say like.
Well, look, I'm
your whole
Miss Zedd, but like we'll just go with Zilla.
Oh, yeah.
Zilla's cute.
Zilla. Alrighty, beautiful. Take it away, Joel.
Anyways,
Take it away.
so we've got Atsi today, and we are just so amazed by you. We've got a 6-figure from Sex Toys. I swear. She's got her pleasure treasure. She's a sexologist. She is a podcaster and just an absolute goddess. So that's our shitty introduction. You introduce yourself, girl. Tell us about it. Yeah.
Got it right though. I do a little bit of everything. What I'm mostly known for is I'm a female sexual empowerment coach. And I mean, I focus a lot on like sexuality and pleasure and orgasm and all of that stuff. But really what it comes down to for me is like just inspiring and empowering women to live their best lives and to reclaim their power and a sense of wholeness and feeling enough by reclaiming their sexuality, as it is such a like core piece of who we are as women and the most powerful aspects of ourselves. And I feel like so many women have the sense of not feeling complete because we've disassociated and disconnected from this part of ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well for both of us reaching our 30s, we're starting to notice that more than ever as well.
How are you just be outing me like that?
Guys, come on.
I'm 22. What about?
Your dreams. But yeah, no, definitely. I think especially in our friendship groups as well, we definitely see a lot of that missing in our girlfriends. And
I think as well, like people are starting to be more open to having these kinds of conversations and actually it's not so scary anymore. Whereas it used to be so taboo. Whereas now like everyone's like, you want to fuck or what? Like it's a lot better.
And just like finding out as well that like as what you say, sex is for us too, not just for men.
It's not a service.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say next. It's like so many of my friends and like my clients, and this is where I used to be and why I'm so passionate about it, is I saw sex as a tool to keep my partners happy. And it was almost like if I just like gave them what they wanted, then I could keep them, right? And they'd like stay in love with me. So I was like validating myself through my ability to please my partners, and sex was never about me. And I had relationships where I like my first relationship 2 years didn't even have an orgasm, but like also didn't even question it. It was just like, okay, if he's happy, it's fine, right?
You're similar in that aspect though, like your past relationship. Okay, well souls.
Oh,
Love that you just call her out.
So I got out of a 6.5 year like very serious relationship just before COVID happened actually. And sorry, I've like completely reshaped who I am as a person since leaving that. And same thing, like sexually wise, it was just not hitting it for me at all. but I was just like, like it's not that big of a deal. Like we've got all these other parts of the relationship and blah blah blah. But no, like it's a pretty big deal.
It's important to
Pretty
have
big
that
deal.
as well. Like huge.
Yeah.
It is really important because for most of us, I mean, if you are going to be in a monogamous relationship, that's the only person you're having sex with. And like all the other boxes that they tick, you can actually get all those needs met from your friends as well.
Yeah.
Literally, or
Yeah.
yourself.
That's the
Yeah,
only
or
box that like no one else can tick for you unless you're having like a polyamorous relationship essentially.
Yeah.
And then it's also like, okay, so why are you with them?
Bad. Literally though. It's so true.
Like if they're not giving you more than what your friends and family are giving you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even
We
if you love them, like I've been thinking about this recently, like we kind of feel, and I think society pushes this on us as well, that if we love somebody, it means that we're just meant to be with them, right? But you can love somebody, it still doesn't mean that they're the one. Because love isn't enough. There's still all these other boxes we have to tick on top of that.
So many different elements that make a relationship. It's not just as simple as like, oh, he's a pilot.
Yeah.
And he makes lots of money. Like it doesn't work like
So
that.
true.
Like you have so many more aspects that you need.
And there was something I was thinking about in the shower the other day too, because, you know,
Shower thoughts, that's where you do all the thinking.
Yeah. And I was like, how do you actually differentiate the difference of love and lust? Like when you have love for a person versus when you're like, so say you're first seeing somebody and you're like, oh my God, I think I have feelings for them. But how do you know when it's further than just I have feelings for them or I'm in love with them? Like, how do you like differentiate that?
Well, usually at the beginning it is just lust, like the crazy rush of hormones. It's where we feel like totally like obsessed and infatuated by them when you're like thinking about them all the time. And it's like when we're in this stage of like lust or falling in love, we don't see any of the red flags. So it almost seems like they're like perfect, like there's no flaws at all. And that's that sense of like love at first sight. Like most of my previous relationships were like that, where I called it love at first sight. And I would hear people talk about how they were like, they knew their guy or their boyfriend for like years before they started dating, and they just had this really beautiful friendship, and then it like blossomed from there. And I would always be like, oh, like that sounds so boring. I want the like love at first sight, like fireworks. And now I've actually realized how toxic that is. It can eventually like it can actually lead into something beautiful and long lasting if you do the work around it. But usually if it's like that really intense, like you can't stop thinking about the other person, like fully obsessed with them, they're usually triggering some sort of wound in you, or you're projecting out onto them. So really like love.
You've just really hit Aylin in a sore spot.
So love takes time to develop. Like you're not going to be in love with somebody within the first like 3 months of meeting them. It's going to take like over 3 months, like to 6 months to really like fall deeply in love with somebody.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you're like, I die. I'm actually dying.
I'm like, triggered.
So at the beginning, it's just important to realize, and like, I'm kind of in the stage now with someone that I'm seeing. I'm like, I'm obsessed, and I say that to him, but I understand that it is like that build up of like hormones and like just that like
the new toy excitement kind of.
Yeah. So you just like have, and that is, it's completely normal, but just realizing that that just is a stage. And so I feel like within those first few months, it really is just about like getting to know somebody, but not like, and we all do this as women, we begin to like find the future and the wedding and like see him as like the one, but we just have to like remind ourselves of like, okay, like take it slow. Like,
like, chill, girly. There was a meme I saw actually that was like, when you know you're not right for each other, but you keep imagining like fake scenarios falling in love anyway. And I was like, oh,
we've all been there. I think everyone has been there at some point. I know guys that are like that.
Yeah.
Guys can be like that too. Like it's not just girls.
Yeah.
We're all just as toxic as one another, I swear to God.
But I do have a quick question to segue into what we were talking about as well.
Sure.
We did have a guy ask a question actually, and he said, how many times a week should you have sex with your partner? Is 5 times a week too much? Because he's finding that he's being told he wants it too much. So
I've been asked these questions so often, and I've also had like girls come to me and go, oh, my therapist said I should have sex 3 times a week. There's no like right or wrong. It's different for everyone, and it's different for every couple. Some couples might have sex once a month, and if they're both happy with that, that's perfect for them in their relationship. If you want to have sex every day, that's amazing too. You just have to follow what's best for you. I think what happens is when there's a couple in a relationship where one person has a really high sex drive and the other person doesn't, there's kind of like this mix. It doesn't match.
work. Yeah.
And so it's important. This is why it's really important to be able to meet all of your own needs, and why self-pleasure is also really important in a relationship. So anytime that he's having like a sexual urge and like wants sex, then his partner isn't in the mood, it's not up to her to be meeting his needs every single time, right? So it's up to him as an adult, an individual, to meet those needs himself. So that's why self-pleasure as a solo practice, separate from your relationship, is really important. You don't want to become like too codependent and attached with each other that way.
There's like, I think branching from that, I have a couple, like, I'm very much like, if you want to watch porn,
Yeah,
like,
same.
great. But I have some girlfriends who are like, have literally broken up with their partners because they've caught them watching porn. Like it's a game ending, like relationship ending kind of thing for them. So in that kind of situation, like, what would you recommend and like go around that?
I used to have this video on YouTube, and it was like one of the top videos. I've taken it down now, and it was like how to accept the fact that your partner watches porn, right? Because I feel like for a lot of women, there's like a lot of insecurities and stuff that come up, right? So a lot of it's actually our own shit when we're feeling insecure that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Then again, actually, if he is watching porn a lot, like every single time he masturbates, it does actually affect the way that you make love. So the way that you self-pleasure, men and women alike, you're like setting the tone and like getting into like habits and things that you're going to pick up during self-pleasure that you're actually going to take into your relationship. And when you masturbate watching porn, you're actually really disconnected from yourself, and a lot of what you're watching in porn isn't reality.
It's not real,
right?
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah.
Fantasy.
There's actually a question on that as well. So it says, how do you make a girl come if she always uses sex toys? Like for a man, or even a female perspective as well, like as a partner, like how are you going to then in turn get them off because they are more desensitized from maybe watching too much porn or using sex toys too
Big
much?
Dildo.
You know, guys always like to compare, but there's, you know.
Like back to the porn thing, and I guess like relating to this as well, the first thing is like just not to shame your partner.
Yeah.
So when girls are like, oh, I hate that you're watching porn, and like give him shit for doing it, sometimes that shame actually like pushes him further into it, right? It just needs to be like this more like accepting energy and like loving energy. Also recognizing that a lot of guys actually have porn addiction.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
like
a huge thing.
It's a huge thing, and he's not doing it by choice.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as like a drug addiction, right? You going like, oh, I can't believe you did that, like so disrespectful and getting angry isn't actually the support that they need. They need more acceptance, right? And when you're like more accepting around the fact that they're doing it, they're not going to be hiding it from you. It'll be more out in the open. And that's the first step for him to actually heal and overcome that, is acceptance. And then your last question, how to make someone orgasm if they're used to using sex toys. That's not your job, right? To wean someone off sex toys and be able to orgasm during sex. It has to be up to them. They have to want it. And again, coming back to self-pleasure, you have to wean yourself off the sex toys. Like your sexuality and your pleasure, that's your responsibility. Like you can't put that pressure on your partner.
Yeah.
I mean, you can work together as a team to do it, but was this from a woman or a man? Were they wanting this for themselves, or was he wanting to get his girlfriend off?
Get his girlfriend off.
Yeah. So it has to be her desire.
Yeah.
Because if she might not even want that. Do you know what I mean? So it's like it has to come from a place where that's what she wants. But in terms of like breaking any habit, whether it's like a lot of women are addicted to clitoral orgasm, so they never orgasm from penetration. A lot of girls are addicted to sex toys. I usually teach 2 different ways that you can break a habit like this. And the first one is like just go cold turkey, like throw the sex toys out, just stop using them. And eventually, because you don't have this option and this pathway to orgasm anymore, you'll actually just open yourself up to learning how to orgasm in a different way. It's not that you can't orgasm without sex toys. You just don't allow yourself to because you never practice without it. And I always explain it. It's like in our mind, we have neuronal pathways, and the pathway just gets deeper and deeper and more ingrained the more times that we do something. So it's like practice makes perfect. If you keep orgasming with your vibrator, your brain just associates that toy and that sensation with orgasm. So when you go, oh, I want to have an orgasm, your brain goes, okay, we need that toy, we need that sensation.
And
It's the same thing as when we write.
Game over.
I feel like
What's going on
click
here?
and collect is going to take a couple hours.
I need it now. I need that Uber delivery sex
Yeah.
toy.
Oh my god.
So there is that way. And I mean, like, you have to be really patient and persistent. You might get rid of the sex toys. You probably won't orgasm the first time. Maybe it'll feel really uncomfortable. You might be like, what the hell am I doing? You just have to like push through, and that new pathway will continue to build and get stronger and stronger until you eventually experience orgasm that way. And then you'll have these two pathways to orgasm. The other way that you can do it is like a ratio. So maybe say like, one time I have sex with my partner, we use sex toys, and then the next 2 times we don't. Or one time I self-pleasure with my sex toys, next 3 or 4 times I don't. And so like you're still building this new pathway to pleasure, but not fully disconnecting from pleasure. So you can still give yourself a little bit of fun.
Yes.
Mix it up, variety.
What's the little taco meme?
That's it.
Let's have both. But I do have like a quick, like I'm going to expose myself.
We love that. I love when you do this. I really
Here we
do.
go. Okay, so obviously growing up young, actually I'm just going to expose my age. So I was born in 94. So kind of like the peak time of growing up with internet. So like we had childhood with no internet, and then we've come into internet in our teens, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously like we got exposed to porn and like
Dial
all
up.
of this
Yeah.
and all of that. So I got a little bit lost in the porn world for a minute, and that has severely affected how I can like get off in relationships and things like that, because I'm so used to having to watch porn to stimulate my mind that I don't have the facilities for that big man without it.
And this is the same thing. It's just association.
That's
Like
crazy.
you
Your
need,
favorite word?
I do dissociate a lot.
So much. She does that so much.
but you de-associate from what's actually going on in the physical reality, and then you're associating that fantasy, whatever you're going to from the porn, and associating orgasm and pleasure with that. So this is the same thing, right? You're trying to break the pattern or the habit of going back to that fantasy. So it'd be the same thing. You'd just practice, first of all, like maybe doing a little meditation or like breathing into your body, bringing all of your awareness into your body, into your pussy, and then self-pleasuring from there. And you'll catch yourself going, oh, I want to go back to that thing, like whatever that thing is that you think about. And you just have to catch yourself and stay in your body. And like I said, you might not have an orgasm to begin with. It might not even feel that pleasurable, but you're just like learning a new way to self-pleasure, being in your body. And then this is where you have like deeper connections with your partner in sex, because you're there and you're present. You can be more intimate with them rather than just connecting.
Yeah, no, for sure. Because I do find myself like, I'll be in my own head.
Well, I mean, that brings
like
it
that.
in. We did have a question from someone who was saying, like, do you think, is it normal to think about other things and other people whilst you're having sex? I know sometimes like you'll just be like, oh shit, I've got to go get this from the shops, or like your mind tends to like,
or you'll be thinking of someone else.
like this isn't doing it for me. So like, remember that sexy man that we had sex with that one time? Like, me, myself, my titties and my vajutsi.
I think like it's normal. It's definitely common. I
so
think we all do it. I think it's like, and it's fine. Like porn is fine. Like vibrators, it's fine. Like fantasy is fine. Like we can't begin shaming any of this, right? We need to accept all parts and all facets of our sexuality. I think the only time it really becomes a problem is when it becomes like an addiction.
Every single time you're just like, I wish I wasn't here.
I mean,
and every so often it's like fun, right? Like thinking about that random thing, like, it's fine.
Sometimes it turns you on more, I think, sometimes. Like if you're thinking about something and you're like, oh, I have a flashback from this, and then you get more into it with whoever you're with. Do you know what I mean? Like you get those like sex flashbacks.
Oh, when you're at work the next day and you're like,
like, fuck, that was so good.
You're like,
bring that back.
washing dishes is like, Like drooling.
Yeah, that happens.
We all do that.
We
We've all
all
got those little wank bangs up.
Yes, the wank bank.
That's the name of it. We're like,
Oh god.
Oh my
Or
God.
spank bank. They used to
Spank
call it.
bank.
Yeah,
I've never
spank
heard
bank.
of that.
And then it's hard to bring it up with your partner. Like, remember that time that we did this? Like,
Yeah.
You're like, let me just think about that on my own. I gotta go.
Yes, BRB.
We had a lot of questions around like hookup culture, fuck buddies, that kind of thing. So I thought I could get your opinion around that. Like, what are your thoughts on casual sex?
I've seen so many posts lately from like coaches and like spirituality people that are like, I mean, you've probably seen heaps of them that are like, every time you have sex with a person, you take on their energy. And like whatever they're going through, like you take on. I feel like this is so shamey. It's not shaming, just like in a spiritual way. So
like, how do you share it with so many people, kind of a thing?
Yeah,
like I want to share it with everybody.
It's not shaming, but they're
that's what
just
I
like making it differently.
Yeah.
So I think that when you like have that belief, I believe that those are actually more damaging. Like those beliefs saying that you're going to take in someone's bad energy and rah, 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 those beliefs that are being pushed onto people, I think are actually more damaging than one night stands are. Right?
Yeah. You're not thinking about it that deep.
Sometimes you just need a little scratch pickle, you know?
Yeah.
That's how it is.
So I always say to any of my clients, like, whatever you want to do, if you want to go have one night stands, fine. If you want to go to like sex parties, fine. You just have to make sure that it's actually what you want. Like, it's really in alignment with your true desires and your heart's desires. Like, is it a full yes? Or is it maybe coming from a place of like seeking validation? And I would say a lot of people who have one night stands, it's not their true desire. I think generally for women, we mostly just desire like deeper connection and more intimacy. And what I see like through friends and clients is a lot of women who do kind of like sleep around a little bit. It's coming from this place of like, they actually have a lot of walls up and they're actually not wanting to let anybody in because they're afraid of getting hurt. And it's their way of being like more defensive and like, oh, and it's fine. Like sexual empowerment. I just want to sleep around for a little bit. But actually it's them protecting themselves from letting anyone in so they don't get hurt. Again, I'm not shaming. We've all been there. We've all had the one night stand. Like it's
like,
all...
damn, we're getting red.
She's got the note like, yes, right. At this point, read Aylin. Yes.
Yeah, she's like, all right, hit her again.
We've all been there. Like I've been there. We've all done it. So
we
like,
all have. There's no shame around it at all. And I think for us, like we obviously want to be able to bring that open space for people to realize that it is normal to do this. Like I saw a post saying what was the average amount of people that women had slept with, and it was like 14 or something. And I was like, that's
14.
Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, it was like, I thought it was really low. And then when I read the comments,
in these
like,
surveys, they've actually gone and like looked at these surveys, and men will always put a way higher number and women will always drop it down. So I don't believe these.
Just we all need to be honest.
Every chick I know slept with more than 14 people.
I mean, I know a couple of people that like got married and had kids and whatnot, but like they're like, they don't count.
I mean, wait, until last year I had only slept with 3. So
wait, reverse.
Yeah, with Jamie, like pre-Jamie, I don't been with 3 people in my life.
Wild. I guess because you were in a relationship for so long too, like 6 years.
Yeah.
But now you're making up for lost time. We love that. I love that. I think it's important.
It doesn't matter. Like the number of people that you've slept with.
No, 100%. I agree. I don't think it matters at all. Like I think the more people that you've slept with, the more experience that you have, and you learn not only about like other people and what you do and don't like, but also what you do and don't like for yourself. Yeah. You think differently about your partners. I think like people that I've slept with, I then go, I didn't really like that, or I did really like that. So now I know for me personally, like I'm more verbal with sex. Like I'll be like, to the left, like can you do this, or like hook your fingers this way. Whereas before I'd be like, I'll just sit here and wait. Like, this is so fun.
But again, this is why self-pleasure is so important, because when you self-pleasure, you figure out like all your boundaries, your needs, your desires, your turn-ons, like what gets you off. And you can't really share that with another person until you figured it out on your own.
Yeah.
But I also believe that people who have been in like long-term relationships I feel like you learn more about yourself then, because you like, if you sleep with someone over a longer period of time, you really get to know each other and each other's bodies, and you get to explore a little bit more. I think people that just have a lot of one night stands, it's a lot of the same sex.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah. Because you're learning
really
that person
get
as
to
well,
know
like
them.
quickly.
And I think that's why with casual sex, people do get attached to toxic dick, because it's something new and exciting and different from like the bland basic shit, like 5-minute situations you're having with these other one night stands.
Mhm.
So like they're not standing out to you, whereas like the toxic dick interactions are the ones that stand out to you.
Boyfriend
Literally
dick
and
versus
figuratively.
toxic dick.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like gambling, because you're like, these toxic guys, they give you like a little bit of love and you're like, oh, he wants me, he's choosing me. And the sex as well, like all those hormones and like the oxytocin like builds that like sense of connection. And then he's gone again, you're like, oh, am I gonna see him? I don't know. And then he comes back and it's like that rush again. So it's like, it's like playing the slot machines, it's like gambling. And that's why
They always come back. They always come back.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So what are your thoughts then on having sex on a first date? Like I know so I did a little program with Asti called The Spark, which was amazing.
You did tell me about that.
I was telling her about it and how we had a guy come on and he was giving his perspective around things, and he was saying he tells his guys not to have sex until 3 dates.
Yeah, or at least a 3-date rule, he said.
Yeah,
I love what he said. He said if he goes on a date with a woman and she's like, I don't want to have sex with you straight away, I'm really interested in like getting to know you and building like a solid relationship first. He said that is such a turn on. Wow. And I
was shook. I was like,
I was appalled.
I mean, again, like not slut shaming, but I think it is, if you're wanting a relationship, I mean, some people are just wanting sex and that's fine. But if you're wanting to build a relationship, I think it's important to get to know somebody first without bringing sex into the equation, because sex can like really mix with like our emotions and blur things. And especially women, like when we orgasm and with sex, we release oxytocin, which is a bonding hormone. So we feel more connected to this person. And then if we're like wanting to build this relationship into a long-term relationship, if the relationship is built on sex, it's not necessarily like the most solid foundation, right? We want it to be built on like more of a friendship basis.
Yeah, definitely. No, I know exactly what you mean in regards to that, because I know for myself, if I'm going into it with like just the idea of, okay, like fuck buddies or something, I won't ask about their regular life. Yeah. I don't want to know, because I don't want to build that attachment.
Yeah.
So when you've got a rotation going,
yeah,
you really can't.
The rotation.
You can't keep up with everybody.
That's
the asking you about something wrong, guy.
Babes, I don't care about your day, and I don't know if I mix you up. So if I don't ask,
I thought this one guy, the whole time I was seeing him for like a year or something, I thought he was one star sign, and I was like, yeah, you're a blah blah blah, and he goes, no, I'm not, and I was like, huh? And then he said something else, and I was like, fuck, this whole time.
You've like done his whole birth chart to see if you got it wrong.
Why he's doing it? Because he's a Capricorn. Oh my God.
Hey, I'm Capricorn. What's wrong with
Capricorn? Turns out he's a Leo. It's fine.
Way off. Way off. Everybody is charting their birth signs. I feel like lately, like that's the thing to do. I went somewhere recently and this girl was like, what's your star sign? Oh, that's so Sagittarius of you. I could have guessed. And I was like, babes, what? It's so full on.
Everyone loves people message me, DM me on Instagram like, hey babe, what's your birth chart? I'm wondering. They like want to see everything.
You're like, well,
you're like, hi, so do you know about boundaries?
Oh my gosh.
No, that is wild. That is actually wild.
Oh gosh. Now
you've got one, I can tell.
Yeah. Actually, that one's kind of crossover.
Okay, all right. Tell us.
Actually, I have a good one. How to get confidence with being on top, like sex-wise, like sex position. They said, I'm too awkward and can't find the right momentum.
First of all, I think it's important to give ourselves permission to be awkward.
Yeah.
Like, you can still be sexy and have like really good sex and be a little bit awkward or shy or goofy or uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
We feel like we just have to be performing like these like actresses, but it's actually okay to be feeling all these other emotions too. So like let yourself feel a little bit awkward. And then I'd also like start to really focus on your pleasure and like finding the groove in terms of like what actually feels good for me, right? Instead of like, oh, what does this look like? What is he thinking, right? Just coming back into your body and like letting your pleasure move you, letting your inner bliss move you.
Yeah, 100%. I know with me, I personally love being on top. It's like my favorite. And what I've found helps me, because obviously I'm a bigger girl. So like your fat and stuff hanging over them is a concern to some people. But I find if you put on music, it'll distract you and it'll make you move in the same momentum as the music. So if you find that you're awkward and have no rhythm anyway, because I have zero rhythm in real life, like day to day. But in that sense, like that is what helps me find rhythm. And then exactly what you said, just follow like your pleasure path and stuff like that. And yeah. Then you just watch him get his soul snatched. Yeah, and he's not even looking at your double chin or your fat because his soul is getting snatched right from his
eyes are rolling.
Literally.
I think for me, like I hate going on top. Like I fucking hate it.
I used to hate it when I was focusing on him, when it was like, oh, does he like this? I hope he likes it. And then as soon as I was like, hold on, what about me and my pleasure? As soon as I made that shift, now I love it. It's like one of my favorite.
Yeah. See, because I love sucking dick. Like that's my thing. I'll gluck 5,000 until you've got no soul left. And my logic is I'll get out of getting on top by just sucking dick because I enjoy that more. Yeah. But I think also because I'm self-conscious.
Oh, this is hot. I'm like, oh, I love this energy. This confidence. Like, whoa.
Tell us.
You're doing things to me.
Gosh. But yeah, for me, I found that no one's ever complained with me being on top. So I'm like, well, that's the confidence I needed.
That's true. That's so true. Like, and if they are, next. Mm-hmm. Like you don't need to be like, unless it's, I think if it's like, in like, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh my God, my brain is mushy.
If it's
like instructional, but like a different word. Like if it's helpful to you.
Educational.
Kind of. So like if you're having sex with someone and they say like, oh, it doesn't feel great, but if you do this, like we can help each other.
Constructive.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Constructive.
Thank you. Oh my God. Those two languages up here, I'm not great from being up here.
What?
Another thing you can do as well, like what I was saying before, is like if something feels uncomfortable for you, it's like you can just practice on your own. Yeah. So you can also like get like you could just do it humping a pillow, but you could get like a dildo and like sit in that position and like find a rhythm on your own in that position. Because then once you find your groove by yourself and find pleasure in that, then it's easier to do it with a partner.
I mean, also you could just do what I did. Like if you're worried about your double chin, just get it lipoed. That also solves the problem.
I mean,
I can't go for that too.
There we go.
She's snatched.
And if it is body insecurities, I mean, like the more you feel comfortable in your body, like we can talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, so for sure.
For me, what really helped is like I always hated my boobs. And then I like for ages, I like hated my breasts, and then I hated that I hated them, and I hated that I hated it. It's like all you think about, like it just consumes all of your energy, especially when you're having sex. If you're up in your head going, oh my God, I hate my boobs, or like, does my tummy look fat? Is he worried about this? Like, are my stretch marks? Blah, blah, blah. You're not going to be in pleasure. You're not going to like tap into orgasm when you're up in your head, right? Because you have to be in your body. That's where all of your pleasure is. So you have to feel comfortable in your body before you can feel comfortable in your pleasure. And what helped me with this wasn't necessarily like, I feel like there's a lot of pressure around body confidence to feel like we just have to love everything about ourselves. But even when you fall in love with a guy or a girl, like you fall madly, deeply in love, there's still going to be things about them that you don't like. So when we fall in love with ourselves, it's the same thing. You don't have to love everything. And that really helped me. So instead of like forcing myself to love my boobs, it was like just moving into acceptance, even if that acceptance looks like accepting that you don't like how they look. Yeah. So now it's like, it's just about becoming really really secure within your insecurity.
Right, ultimate, just, you know what? Be insecure.
You know what? Just be insecurity.
But it's more just like this, I don't like the way that my boobs look, but fuck it. I'm still hot as shit. Like I love myself anyway, like let it go. And then you're not going through that spiral of like hating. It's just like, I accept that I don't like how this looks, but let it go.
Where I've reached. Oh my God, you guys.
We did it.
We finessed the real sponsor for this episode. A real fucking sponsor.
We're so impressed. Hey, Miss Zedd is also a real
She's
sponsor.
also a real sponsor.
But
like other people.
Not one, but two. But
Yeah.
Oh my God. Who is our sponsor for today?
It is.
Oh my God, you guys would have seen this everywhere. The girls have done such an amazing job with this brand. But not only have we been sponsored by Booby Tape, we've actually also been sponsored by Booby Tape Skin. This is actually going to go into a giveaway that we're doing. So one of you guys will get to win the entire Booby Tape Skin range. Oh, we're so very, very excited about this. Let me run you through it.
Yes. I'm going to start with the anti-wrinkle silicone chest pad.
Okay, so the purpose of
this
this,
wild.
It is wild. If you're a side sleeper like I am, the chest pad just goes on your décolletage, so you don't get those wrinkles.
Yeah, I get them.
Look like a saggy old bag.
Like,
yeah.
I used to work with what?
Yeah, tell them.
Yeah. I used to work with this girl at Sephora back in the day. Actually, she wasn't a mature lady. I used to work with this lady, and she went up to one of the girls and was like, "You need to start wearing retinol, otherwise your necklines are gonna look like mine by the time you're my age." And that sticks with me. That resonates with me.
Now you can get it for like $35.
Yeah.
So how good?
Because I'm like, dope, I've already got the lines. So now I'm working hard on trying to get rid of the lines. Like, see that?
Get rid of it. We love it here. We love it. Next up,
my
she's
God.
throwing it away because it's just that good.
They're going. They're leaving the building.
Actually, this sold out in 24 hours.
24
karat gold breast mask. They go on your boobs. The crazy thing about Booby Tape Skin is they're actually the world's first skincare for your breasts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's super exciting. But yeah, you just chuck those ones on your boobies, like a face mask for your boobs.
It's a full mask.
Yeah.
That goes on your titties.
Get it, girl.
On your yitties.
And then once you have done that, we've got a Miracle Pink breast scrub. So that's a breast scrub that you can do in the shower. And then we follow it up with some Booby Tape Skin moisturizer.
Keep those girlies nice and tight and soft.
Not only is it a
Soft and
moisturizer, but it's a firming breast lotion. So it's actually going to help the skin go slight.
Okay, cool.
You want to smell it? Smell it. It smells so good. It's so fruity. Here, wait. I'll pump it. Pump it. Pump it. Pump it. Now smell it.
It smells like sherbet.
Yeah, it's like Fruit Loops, kind of. Fruit Loops, fruity.
My childhood.
Yeah, it smells like childhood.
Yum.
We love that.
Yeah,
And
it smells like sherbet.
they've also given us some of their little Clean My Booby pads. They're like a makeup removing pad, but you can use them to remove the clay from your breasts.
Nice.
And
a travel bag, babe.
a travel bag.
Because we're all going to be outside soon. We're going to need to travel with it.
So that is today's sponsor. If you haven't already checked them out, you can find them at www.boobytape.com. They have a whole skin section. So yeah, go look after your titties, girls and guys.
Skincare.
We love it here.
We do love it here. And because your titties are just as important as your face.
Yeah.
Remember that. I've reached. That's what I've reached.
Yeah, I think we get to that point.
Yeah, I would never wear a crop top. Like,
but now look at you.
Ever.
90s baby.
Yeah, like what?
But you know what? I saw you on the beach with your titties out.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, so this is it. Like I used to hate.
She's loving
I would
herself.
not even get changed in front of anybody. Like hated. Like I was so insecure. And now I'm like, I was a stripper for 10 years. I've danced on stages all over Australia naked. I go to nude beaches. I get my tits out on Coogee Beach. Like I know all the locals. I'm like, I don't care. Like I'm now that I'm that confident, I'm like, if you have a problem with my boobs, that's your problem. Like I literally.
I completely agree with this. I was on the beach tanning topless because very similar story. Like when I was in boarding school, I hated being naked, but obviously you're in boarding school and you get roomed with like either 12 or like 4 girls, depending on what year level you're on. And one of the girls that I used to room with, she would walk from the fucking shower with no towel, no nothing, and she'd just off she trot. And after living with her for a year, I went from being like, oh my god, don't look at me, I'm naked, to like, you want to see some titties or what? Like just a complete change. And now I go to the beach and I'll literally like exactly the same as you, like get them out. But I've had like parents come up to me and say, there's children around, you need to put your top on. And I mean, one time I said to them,
the kids
like,
never care. The kids are like funny. They just look at you like,
I don't
like,
know. I said to her, like, did you breastfeed your children? So what's the problem?
Yeah,
like Raina did.
They touched your titty.
Yeah, like you're gonna be fine. And if you're really bothered, you can go to another beach. That's also fine. Like,
they're not worried about their kids. They're worried that their husband's gonna see you.
that's what it was. Because it's always the husband. The husband's always like,
Yeah. Like, look at that big bundle.
not the bundle. I would care naked if I was a little bit more socially acceptable on any beach. Like,
okay, you guys are coming to Sydney. I'm going to take you to my favorite nude beach. We'll have a girls' day. Like,
I was like, wait. I'm not ready to be nude in public. Fuck. Shit, I gotta work on myself first. No, that's the thing.
That's what I mean, like mentally.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I'll allow it. You can go do your mental workout.
Except
but when you're somewhere where it's normal, you feel more comfortable doing it. So I love how you said that your friend or the girl that you're in boarding school with would just be like naked, because then that gives you permission. You're like, oh, if she can do that, then I can too. And that was what happened with me in stripping. Like everyone was just like naked. And like I saw that we all, our bodies are all so different, like different shapes and colors and sizes, and our pussies too.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize this until I started stripping. I was like, oh my God, we're all so different. And I'm actually normal. And I like the permission I got from these women. I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm going to allow myself to be seen. Like, I'm going to be comfortable in my body. Like, the permission's everything.
It's so true. Like, a couple of my girlfriends do stripping as well. Yeah. And like, we have this running joke because my girlfriend calls her vagina a hamburger. She's like, it just all hangs out. And she was like so insecure about it for the longest time. And it was just kind of like this running thing. And as bad as it sounds, I think we joked about it so much that she's now just like, oh yeah, like the hamburger. Like she's just become really accepting of it through humor. And I know a lot of us do that as like a defense. Yeah. But it's become such a common thing that now she's like accepting of it, which is great. Yeah. But it was her way of like working through her insecurities around her own body, which is amazing.
That is so good.
Yes.
I did have something to say and I've completely like forgotten.
We love that. Can we talk about squirting then?
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. That would be so
brought.
Yes. Oh. Oh, me too. Me too.
Yes. And now these toys don't run out of batteries, I've heard.
I know. Aylin's so excited. You want to? I cleaned it. Don't worry.
One of my friends came over like a few weeks ago, and she got on my bed while I was getting ready. Gets in, and this is there next to her. I was like, oh God, I forgot I had that there.
It's like my new favorite thing. Honestly, I'm obsessed with that.
Make a collar.
And the little
that feels nice.
Yeah, they're really like weighty. I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, that I'm obsessed with so much. Like it's
no, this is my favorite toy.
Yeah,
it's like this one sells out. I'm not even kidding. Like 5 times faster than anything else that I stock. It's just like gone off the shelves.
Yeah, you have your little.
Do all the things. Which way do you put it? Do you put it this way or do you put it this way?
Well, that's the hook part.
Yeah, I know, but I just want to check because maybe I'm doing it wrong.
I feel like you could do both.
You can do both.
I mean, I always say there's no rules. You can do whatever you want. If it feels good, do it. but if, like you'd put it in that way. So the hook goes like it's pointing towards your belly button.
Okay.
Because your G-spot's just like an inch or 2 just inside your vagina towards the front wall. And so that's designed to like hit the G-spot.
And that's why I always say to guys, like curl your fingers, like hook them. And they're like, what are you doing? Stop.
So good. And then this side, I haven't actually used this for anal before, but you could use the back side for anal penetration too.
Do a bit of everything. Oh
my God, you could actually. Hey.
So would you say that out of your collection, that is your favorite?
This is my favorite.
That's your favorite?
Like the curve and the way that it hits that spot is just like everything. And you can even put it in like a little bit deeper and then it hits a spot behind the G spot, which is the A spot, which a lot of women feel
to. I know about this.
Wait a second. What? Huh? There's 2?
Go have a science class. Anatomy, I should say.
But like, I feel like because all of our vaginas are so different. We really just feel pleasure in different ways because our nerve endings are concentrated in different spots. But the guy that I'm seeing now, a couple of weeks ago, he's like, oh, by the way, I found this new spot in your vagina. He's like, every time I touch you there, you just go crazy. I was like,
It's a button. You're like,
and he's like, oh, by the way, your vagina. And you're like, huh?
I'm like, how do you I've self-pleasured a lot. I've done a lot of work on my sexuality. No, I've discovered a new spot. And then he showed it to me and I was like, whoa,
oh, that's crazy.
She did a celibacy
thingy.
Do you want to tell Aylin a little about that, or everyone a little bit about that? Yeah, it was a choice.
Okay, yeah.
So I came out of a 5-year relationship, a year and a few months ago. And when I came out of that relationship, I committed to, originally it was going to be 6 months intentional celibacy. I think it ended up being 9 or 10, maybe 10 in total. I had a lot of stuff going on in my personal life as well, which it just kind of got extended. But my intention behind it was, first of all, I feel like a lot of us, when we go through a breakup, we really just want to go out and meet someone or have sex straight away to get over that heartbreak. And we end up relying on other people to get over someone else. And I really just wanted to come back to me and find a sense of wholeness and feeling complete within myself without having to rely on anybody else. So that I could eventually date from this place of not needing anybody and not seeking validation outside of myself. And it was the best. I was I felt throughout the whole time, so many people were but how have you not had sex for this long? I was I have obviously all the sex toys.
Yeah, I was gonna say you weren't dry. It wasn't. You were
I
doing
felt
nothing.
so loved up and so well fucked. I was doing things taking myself to nice hotels and out for dinners and sending myself roses and all the things.
Taking yourself
No, she was
on dates.
dating herself.
I love that. What the hell?
All the things I want from a partner, I was doing it for myself. And while I was doing it, I was this is the standard. If I date myself this well, why the fuck would I date a guy that's going to do absolute bare minimum? I'm better off being alone. So I felt through that time, I really got to raise the bar and push the standard up.
I like that idea.
And I had
when she met her partner.
Yeah.
Go tell him. I'm yes,
it's
go.
really weird. So my last day where it was I was setting the intention to just open myself up to meeting people. So I wasn't necessarily on dating apps or looking. It was just if someone I asked me out now, I will say yes. Before it was totally no. So I went and I took myself on this beautiful date and I went to this amazing hotel, booked a day spa, spent a few hours there, went to the opera house, sat under the opera bar, drinking champagne, went and got a tattoo. It was the most spontaneous date, solo date. But I remember sitting in this, in the day spa at the hotel, and I just took a moment and I was this is the standard. If this is how I'm dating myself, this is how I expect my future dates to be. And then a couple of months went by and I met this guy who I'm seeing now. Our third date, he took me to this hotel. We stayed the night.
You went to that
spot. He didn't know this. He was just have you heard of this place? I want to take you there. And I was the exact same place. We're swimming in the same pool, the same spa. I was
freaking my heart. Yeah, you manifested that.
She really did.
Yeah, I love that. No, that's a really good advice for girls. Date yourself for a minute.
I know, because you don't really ever think about that. And I mean, just quickly on that as well, because we have these amazing sex toys, Asti's actually given us a discount code to give to you guys. You can use the code Say Less at checkout for a tricky little discount. So you can take yourself on those dates and you can pleasure yourself and you can do all of these things because there's no boundaries.
Yeah, and that's male, female, anything in between.
Whatever you feel.
Love yourself, fuck yourself, do all the things yourself. Because the same thing with self-pleasure is so many girls are complain about their men, he's always in a rush, he goes straight for the clitoris, it's I feel so rushed. I'm okay, how do you self-pleasure? And they're because most women self-pleasure in the same way, straight for the clitoris, trying to force out an orgasm, and then it's of course that's how your partner's going to make love to you. You're setting the tone.
Very true.
What are your thoughts on period sex?
I love period sex.
Yeah. Okay.
Homegirl's absolutely not.
Absolutely fucking not.
I love it. I don't know.
I
Yeah,
always
but
get very
twice.
horny though when I have my
Yeah.
period. I think like if it's at the beginning and it's not really that much blood, or at the end, then like I'm so like funny when it comes to periods. Like my mum, when I got my first period, okay, I'll out myself. Fine, you twisted my arm.
She did so much. Wow. You know,
That's
jumped for that one.
When I first got my period, my mum was pregnant with my brother, and so I was a full-time dancer. I danced ballet for like my whole childhood, and I got my period on my way to dance class, and my mum only had maternity pads, so she chucked me in a fucking maternity pad and sent me to my ballet class, and
In a leotard.
in a
maternity pad.
in like a napkin.
Babe.
Like,
Oh, baby, no. And you're doing pirouettes and shit with a...
it was, I thought this is what my life is going to be like. And then when I got home, my mum was so excited because my mum and my grandma don't have like that great mother-daughter relationship. My mum got sent off to boarding school before she had the talk. So when I got home, my mum had a fucking period cake and a card and a present, and I was just mortified. And so like when I went to boarding school, everyone was like talking about periods. I was like, absolutely fucking not.
I'm out.
Absolutely fucking not. I'm out.
I always thought if I had a little girl, I'd love to have a day where it's like she gets her period and we celebrate it. I like the cake. Now you're like traumatized from it. So I'm like, what? Do we celebrate it? Do we not?
Maybe just like not in front of all your family with like all boys. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I've got all brothers.
Wait, so your brothers had to help you blow out the period?
This is the best.
Talk about it now, but fuck at
It
the
was on the
time.
cake, a giant pussy.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
like a red velvet cake.
Sorry.
I can't eat red velvet cake now. I know.
Red velvet's my favorite.
I know. Everybody loves it. And every time I see it, I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely fucking not.
Oh my God.
But that was my
So good.
trauma.
Wow.
I know.
So
it's
good.
weird.
See, my mum never spoke to me about periods. Like I never got that chat. So when I got my period, I like didn't even tell her. Like I was just like, couldn't even have the conversation.
That's what my mum and my grandma were like, because my
Yeah.
grandma's mum died really young, so she just never knew how to have those like communication skills to have that. She was like, oh, it's coming time, let's just send you to boarding school. And like boarding school back then didn't talk about it. So
Yeah.
mum, I think, really wanted to like make up for the fact that she had that lacking situation, but like too much.
I'm so glad we can talk about the stuff now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. I think it's so important. Like,
Yeah.
I love wearing my like ballet nappy, but like I just not really.
It was the brothers blowing up.
Yeah, look, it's been fun.
And did they wait? Did they rush to blow it out first? You know when kids get so excited?
Yeah,
like,
I know. Honestly, I can't remember, but I
They were
feel
rushing.
like,
No, let me blow it
I
out.
want to do it. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh God.
Fuck. But yeah, no, she literally wrote me like a card and everything.
Oh.
And then for some reason, like she thought that I started having sex when I was like, I don't know, like 13, 14, even though I'd had my period for like 10 minutes. So she bought me a Kama Sutra book. Like my mom is wild.
Kama Sutra.
She was like, well, if you're going to do it right. I'm like, I didn't start having sex until I was 17. And so like I'd had this Kama Sutra book for like 5 years.
Oh my God.
All things to teach you about sex, just the Kama Sutra book.
I know, she's
It's so funny.
Actually, no, wait, funny about that. My auntie, so she had her last child quite late in life, and he's like overly sexualized because same kind of thing. He's been brought up in like the porn world and blah blah blah, and everything's so accessible. And he was in year 4, and she bought him like a sex book because she was like, well, you're touching girls at school and having girlfriends, so I think I need to
You gotta
give you that
talk to
chat
him.
now. And he was like reading, he's like, what does like caress the clitoris mean? And I was like,
How old is
what
he?
the fuck? I was like, he's like, what?
How old is he? How old was he?
He was like in year 4 at the time, I
She
think.
was like 10.
And then
just
she was
under, I
like,
think.
oh fuck, I didn't know that was in there. And I was like,
Whoops.
That's a lot of information for a 10-year-old.
But you know what? Like
he was getting it all online anyway, and he was getting the wrong information.
But this
so-
is the thing as well, like, because my background, my first degree that I did was in primary childhood education. I used to be a teacher, and we had to teach our kindergarten, pre-primary, year 1 kids, like vagina, penis, like all of the proper words based on not because they needed to know it for sexual purposes, but because they needed to know it for sexual assault purposes.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we couldn't be like, oh, he touched my funny button. Like you had to be able, like
Yeah.
you had to be able to say he put his penis in my vagina.
Yeah.
And like,
I remember getting taught that.
unfortunately, that's the realist, like the reality of
Yeah.
what kids are having to go through now. And they're
Yeah.
having to learn this stuff so much earlier because of the darkness that apparently is in the world as well,
Yeah.
which sucks. But
I've heard some stories. I think my sister was telling me there was a little girl who was like, I think just trying to tell her mum, and she was saying, Mum, granddad licked my cookie.
you're like, what?
Oh.
Yeah.
And the mum was just like, oh, silly granddad. And I think it went on for ages because obviously they didn't know what she was talking about.
Yeah.
And that's the
Aw.
importance of it. Like we had to really push that with kids, but like I don't want to be teaching that to 5-year-olds and 4-year-olds. Like that's really sad that that's even something that we have to do
Yeah.
in this day and age, I guess.
Yeah, it is crazy. But
Yeah. Oh,
what else we got to?
have you got any more?
Well, there's that one there, but I feel like we've kind of already touched on that. There was
Yeah,
a
I think so
question
too.
saying, how can we shape Australia's dating scene to be better? But I think we've pretty much.
Yeah, we got a lot of questions around dating and the do's and don'ts and how to do it, how not to do it. I think like everyone is figuring it out in their own ways, and with dating apps, it just makes things so accessible to just move on to the next thing.
Yeah. There were a few good points that we shared in the program in the Spark recently, and Justin covered a few points too.
Yeah.
He said if you're dating on a dating app, and one of my friends does this too, it's like before you go on a date, have a phone conversation. Because then you get to know like them a little bit, because you don't want to waste your time dating people where it's just like going to be a no anyway. So have a phone call first of all. You can feel like you've got any chemistry. And then what he said as well is like, don't call the first date a date, because then you put so much extra pressure on it when you're going on a date. It's like, it's just a meeting. You're just going to go meet with this person. And to begin with, what I see a lot of women is like idealizing their partners and creating a future and like what he could be. It's like we have to like let that go and actually just show up for the first like month or couple of months just to get to know somebody. Like you're still just getting to know this person. So like less expectations and just purely about like getting to know the
I
person.
know Justin was saying like the not ideal first date, but like a great first meet is like going for a walk or doing something really casual. And I love that setting, especially like if it's something like Albert Park Lake. You know, I know it's 5Ks around. For me, 5K walk is short. For you, you hate when I take you on
didn't
long
mind
walks.
that 5K.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it.
But like for me, I'm like, okay, I know I've got 5Ks. It will take me 45 minutes to go around. I can walk around this lake with my dog, have a very brief conversation, get to know you a little bit, decide yes or no. And I can leave and it's far enough away from my house that I'm not having to be worried about all of those kinds of things.
And shit like that.
Yeah. Like
And then if it goes well, then go on like a nicer like second date where it's like
you
a
can go
dinner
for
or
lunch,
drink.
sure.
But I think as well, when you're out somewhere, like at a restaurant or a bar, there's so much to be distracted by. When it is just the two of you, it's like it's more deep and it's more intimate. I really like that too.
I feel like when you go for a dinner date, it's very interviewy.
Yeah.
So how many siblings do you have? What's your favorite color?
Yeah.
What do you do for fun? Yeah. And then
Each other.
like, I'm not here for a job, babes.
No, I'll literally be sitting there going, I've forgotten every piece of information about myself.
Literally,
Like,
I don't know.
there are
Even know
no
my
thoughts
name.
in my head.
Not a single name.
Literally.
Not one.
I talk to my Uber more. Like, what? Yeah. Oh gosh. But back to like about you, Asti, as well. What or who has been your biggest motivator? Like
I think it's more of a what, and it's from like it's my own journey and seeing where I was and like how insecure I was and like disconnected from my pleasure and like seeking validation outside of myself. And really like what got me to where I am now and teaching female empowerment and sexual empowerment was my journey through stripping, and then a lot of like the sexuality like embodiment work that I did, but mostly around stripping and what that gave me.
Yeah.
And like where I am now compared to where I used to be, like that change is just massive, and I want to be able to give that to other women.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
of course. I love that.
Yeah,
It's so
same.
good. What would you say? Like we've talked about your favorite sex toy, but what is your favorite sex position?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I feel like usually just like me on top or missionary. Like I love like Sex to me is like a really emotional thing as well. So I love lots of eye contact, and I like that like emotional connection during sex too.
That's so true. What is next for you? Tell us everything about what you've got planned.
So I'm actually opening a new program starting the beginning of November, which is called 40 Days, 40 Nights. And it's pretty much like a small intentional celibacy. You don't have to be celibate during it, but it's like a 40 days, 40 nights of being your own best lover. So I've got like lots of amazing like intimacy and sexuality coaches coming on, and we're just going to be talking about like embodiment and pleasure and sex and self-worth and confidence and like all that good stuff. And I really want it to be like the lead up into the hottest hot girl summer.
Yeah.
It's going to be so fun.
So we're going to be outside.
Yeah, it's going to be a hot back summer.
We're all going to be outside.
Hot wet summer.
Yeah, exactly. We're all outside. We're getting outside, everybody. We're going outside, all right?
We're literally leaving. Bye.
And then in the next month or so, I haven't put a time on it, I'm actually going to be releasing a new toy.
Tell us. That's exciting. I know, I swear.
Still hush hush, but you'll see it soon. And it's completely different to everything else that's already up there.
It's so exciting.
I'll send you one.
Yes, please.
I'll send you both one.
Just in case that people don't know, where can they find you? What is your handle? Sell yourself, girl.
So my website is astimaree.com. You can find all the sex toys at pleasuretreasuresbyasti.com. And my Instagram is asti.maree, so ASTI.MAREE.
Yes. Thank you. Not ATS.
No, not me with my dyslexic ass.
Dyslexic girl.
I'm dyslexic.
It's hard life, honestly.
It is so bloody hard.
We just wanted to thank you as
Thank
well,
you so
like
much.
so much for coming on today and chatting with us, and
It's been insightful.
Yeah, being
Yeah.
yourself, I think, as well. Like
Yeah.
we really wanted to start off our podcast with a bang. So yeah, we were happy.
It went really fast. We have so much to say. We can talk about this shit for hours.
That's why I was like, shit, we gotta like keep an eye on the time, because like
Wrap
I
it
was like,
up.
no, skip that one.
Okay, when borders open, I'm definitely meeting you guys. I don't care if you're going here or if I'm going there, it's happening.
We're gonna make it
100%,
happen. We will
100%.
make it work for sure.
December.
Yeah,
We're not far away.
not long.
30th. Yep. I'll be fully vaxxed on Saturday. So see you soon, Joel.
I've been fully vaxxed for about 300 years now. It feels
Literally, she has.
oh my god, like nursing things. It makes we got vaccinated so long ago. So yeah.
But yeah, thank you so much again. And I think what you're doing right now is so like not on trend, but it's so important in this day and age as well, because I feel like so many women are now getting to that point where we're getting told promote self-love, body positivity, but it's like, how do you get that?
Yeah.
Like, where do you
You
get
need
that from?
direction from it.
Yeah, it's like, okay, cool.
massively.
So I can look at myself in the mirror and be like, I hate my fucking stomach, but I'm gonna be like, I love it. And then hope for the best.
Yeah.
But like, you actually help provide people with like a way of learning,
Coaching
and
around it.
coaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love that. And even just you saying date yourself, I've never thought of that.
Not once has that
My
crossed my
T-brain
mind.
has never thought of that. I was like, well, right, that makes a lot of sense.
It really does.
We take from a place of like, you don't need a man. You
Yeah.
just desire one, so you're not going to settle, right?
Yeah, literally. It's like, take yourself to the movies by yourself, take yourself to that spa, like do whatever the fuck you want. Take yourself to America on your own, like whatever.
Why not?
Yeah. Exactly.
We just to wrap things up for the episode as well, because I feel like we'll chat after.
Yes.
But just to wrap things up, guys, if you are wanting to ask us any questions, you can follow us on Officially Say Less across
Yes,
all
sir.
platforms: TikTok, Instagram, whatever, YouTube.
TikTok, Facebook, Instagram,
Tell us.
bank.
Tell us.
What
Even,
else?
even the bank transfer, Officially Say Less. We do have a Facebook group, which is a private group. So if you're wanting to ask something and discuss it, you guys can
Like a little
also
forum.
follow us there. But otherwise, we will see you next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Tune in and
All rumors are true, yeah. What you heard, that's true,